طيب السلام عليكم جميعا، حياكم الله وشكرا على الدعوة. صراحة أنا يمكن حضرت جزئية بسيطة من دكتورة عفنان الله يعطيها العافية. She covered يعني very good aspects it's a really hot topic right now with the residency programs coming very close into يعني almost 2 months to get started with the application. Best of luck to everyone. طبعا يمكن a little bit the topic in this session is taking a broader aspect, so it's covering beyond just looking at residency. I'm going to cover maybe a little bit of residency stuff related to King Saud University, College of Pharmacy and Medical City. Like at the end, it's all Saudi Commission programs and covers almost every aspect. Okay. So this is just a quick overview of how we're going to tackle this session. So overall, we're going to have an overview of what we mean by higher education. There is a lot of terminologies that might be maybe misunderstood or misinterpreted when you look at it in Arabic versus English. So I'm going to show you both of them. And then we're going to have a very interesting thing. Just recently, we had a quick survey from the King Saud University College of Pharmacy between the Postgraduate Center and the Vice Dean for Graduate Studies and Higher Education on what are the perception of the graduates and the potential candidates on the different programs offered, the PhDs, the masters, the fellowships, the residencies. What are their thoughts and their interest in that matter? For the graduate programs, we're going to discuss the masters and PhD programs, and then for the postgraduate programs, we're going to discuss the residencies, both general and specialty, and then the fellowship programs offered by King Saud University. So this is just to show you what I'm talking about. When we talk about higher education, we have the graduate studies, and these are masters and PhD. And then we have the postgraduate studies, which include the residencies and fellowship. The thing is, in Arabic, it's all one word. They just say دراسات عليا. دراسات عليا means all masters, PhD, residency, and fellowship. But when you go to English, you can enter the different graduate, masters, and PhD, and postgraduates as residency and fellowships. Regardless of all the changes or the differences between all these programs, in the College of Pharmacy, we have a mission and a vision that just combines them all together. So if we want to highlight like the major take-home messages from our mission in the College of Pharmacy, it's having a high quality education and research. And then if you look at our vision, is to have a leadership position in improving the health through the alignment of research, education, and practice. And this tells you the importance of having the core of high quality education and linking that to research, and not only research, it's research that has to do with practice and our daily mission for having a good health provided to our society. So these are basically 8 different tracks or specialties that we have in the graduate studies, and I'm talking in general. PhDs, masters, residency, and fellowships. We have toxicology, pharmacology, pharmaceutics, clinical pharmacy, pharmacognosy, medicinal chemistry, quality control, and pharmaceutical analytical chemistry. This is one of the findings we found in the study I mentioned. And basically, we tried to check who are the people interested in the higher education. And what we figured out was that almost 50% male and female, so there's no discrimination in here. But if you look at the age group, the majority between 25 and 29 are the highest, they have the highest interest in higher education, and almost 61% of them had full-time jobs. When they were asked about how interested they are, their motivations and concerns, the majority of almost 72%, they had high interest. And if you look at the reasons or the motivation why they would like to do it, you're going to find that the highest number is for personal motivation, career consideration, and learning enjoyment. And this is very important because from even the questions I was listening to in the previous session, most of the people are interested in residencies. And again, you have to keep in mind that looking with the 2030 vision, you have more opportunities way beyond just residencies and where it can take you. Maybe this is the last thing I have on the outcomes application. So we were asking the question about after you finish your residency or fellowship programs, or even master's or PhD, are you going to get a promotion? And the answer was yes for almost 68%. And the other question was, are you just getting this type of training for certificate purposes, or do you think what you're going to learn is going to be used? And the majority said, or 65% said, yes, it's going to be used. And this is very important. Now we are in an era that people have a lot of certificates, and it's easily achievable, either by online courses, by different hybrid courses that we can get. So you need to really know what you are getting into. So you have to pick what matches what you want the most, and that's a key. So the higher education is not a destination, it's just a tool to get you to your destination. So that's what I have for the quick overview, and I'm going to start briefly with the graduate programs, including both master's and PhD in our college. So if you look at the master's program, we have almost 9 different programs, and 3 of them they do not have thesis, so they are non-thesis programs. And for example, we have the quality control in pharmacy, and this is one of the programs that is collaboration between different departments. We have the Masters of Clinical Pharmacy, Executive Masters of Science in Regulatory Affairs. We have the Masters of Pharmacology, and we have the Masters of Pharmacognosy, Pharmaceutical Chemistry, Pharmaceutical Analytical Chemistry, and Master of Pharmaceutics. And finally, we have the Masters of Toxicology. I just added here a new program, just we had, it's not a master's program, it's higher diploma in preclinical animal care. It's also a non-thesis program. For the PhD programs, we have now 6 different programs, and they are distributed between the different departments we have in the College of Pharmacy. So we have PhD, and this is the newest, in clinical pharmacy. We have PhD in pharmaceutics. We have PhD in pharmaceutical analytical chemistry, and we have PhD in pharmacognosy, in pharmaceutical chemistry, and in toxicology. So these are the 6 different programs we have in the College of Pharmacy. And this, I know this is a busy slide, but I'm trying to show you here that although we have these different master's, PhD, residency, and fellowship programs, you can see all the diversity of the type of research that is going on. You can see like a very nice mix between drug discovery, analytical and bioanalytical analyses, drug design and synthesis, pharmacokinetics, neuropharmacology, medication safety, from pharmacy practice and health, care practicing, drug information. You can see all across the board, and I showed you the different distribution. You can see the highest publications maybe most likely coming from the clinical pharmacy, giving the different aspects and the mandatory nature of it throughout the different programs applied in the college. Maybe this slide is a little bit new. So as you know, that many of the almost the majority of the colleges right now, they are offering paid programs, and these are the tuition for each of the programs, and they are set by the university. They have it as higher diploma for 50,000 reals, master's 100,000, and PhD of 150,000. I just posted here the link that you can get this information from, and I can show it to you very quickly right now. I'm just going to show you the page so you can navigate it by yourself and get the information from there, just for the sake of time. So once you go to the web page, you're going to see that this is the Deanship for Higher Education. You can see all the different types of programs. Here you can see the healthcare programs. You can see the different prices I was telling you about. And again, if you click on the healthcare programs, you're going to see all the colleges. If you click on the College of Pharmacy, you can see all the programs listed over here. And the beauty of this page, you can see all the requirements. So from GPA to if you require any English proficiencies, if there is any exam, like some of the programs they have written exam. So you can see here by the division. So we have pharmacognosy, this is chemistry, we have the pharmacology division and toxicology, and the pharmaceutics, clinical pharmacy, and this is the last joint program I told you about the quality. So this is a very good reference for you to just go back to. You can have all the information. I'm not going to go over them because each program has different regulations and requirements, but it's easily and very nicely written on the college web and the university's website. Okay. So going back to the slides, these are the main highlights for the postgraduate, so the graduate studies. Now moving to the postgraduate programs we have in King Saud University Medical City. So starting with the residency training, we do have 8 different programs in our in King Saud University. So we start with the PGY1 or the pharmacy practice program, and we have currently 7 seats for each year. So we have a total of 14 seats for the pharmacy practice programs. We have 2 seats for the AMP care program, and this is the only available ambulatory care program in the kingdom. We have 1 seat for infectious diseases, 1 seat for parental nutrition, and 1 seat for hematology oncology. And then we have 1 seat for cardiology, 1 seat for critical care, and 2 seats for internal medicine. And that's all the 7 specialty programs we have in addition to the 1 pharmacy practice program. So what's really special? So Dr. Afnan, she mentioned very nice things about how to apply, what you can get, the different things you can go through a residency program. But what makes a residency program special? So in our residency program, our PGY1 program is ASHP accredited. And one of the things we make sure it's available throughout the year at the roundtable discussions, either it was with the medical team or as a weekly discussion between the residents or in the rotation itself. We have experimental based learning. So we have a simulation lab that can be utilized throughout the year for mimicking some real life experiences that can be trained on in a safe environment. We have a lot of committees. So one of the biggest things we always think about, regardless of what program you're in, is leadership skills. And one way to get these leadership skills is being part of committees, take charge in real life situations. And that's something we offer in our programs. Also, we have a collaboration. So the KSU MC facilities and the college, they all work together in access. So you have access to both the stuff available for the master's and PhD students, and the same thing, you have access to all the hospital resources at the same time. One of the things, as we are being a teaching hospital, so you get to have some teaching training and teaching certification program, and that's in collaboration with the College of Pharmacy. You tend to get some training on how to provide classroom teaching, small group discussions, how to do some facilitation and advanced way of teaching. That way, you're just not trying to mimic how you were taught, the regulations and how to do things in an appropriate way. The admission process is exactly because, as I told you, all the programs we have in Saudi Arabia, they are technically Saudi Commission for Health Specialties programs. So they follow the same exact techniques. You go in and you apply. After you apply, we look at the number of seats we have in the kingdom or in the region you applied for. Let's say, for example, we have 80 seats. So if the Saudi Council, the Saudi Clinical Pharmacy Council, they decided to open like 50% extra or 100% extra, that means that if we have 80 seats, they're gonna open interviews for 160 people. So how do they pick this 160 people? It's as simple as this. You saw the equation between the GPA, the SPLE, and the SPL exam GPA and the CV. What they do is, so we have 160 seats for interview. Let's pick the highest 160 grades. That's why there is no specific cutoff on what is, yes, this is good grade or not. Some years we have very good or very high grades. Then the lowest who got accepted is like 90 something. And some years we had the lowest that got accepted was 60 something. So it is, as I told you, it deviates, but depends on the overall grades in that year. And then you apply through the Saudi Commission, your names get sent to the centers, and then you get the interview process. After the interview process, you get the matching, and you can start your program as Dr. Afnan already discussed. So that's overall about the residency programs. Now, a little bit of a switch to fellowship programs. And fellowship programs, it's a new concept in the kingdom. And not only in the kingdoms, also in the MENA region. So I'm going to go over it quickly to explain that to you, and then we can just wrap up this session. So the way you can think about fellowship program is easily explained when you think about something you already know, residency programs. The fellowship programs is the flip of residency program. So residency program is 80% clinical practice, and then you have these 20% of academia, teaching, research, and other stuff. For the fellowship, it's 80% research, or at least 70 to 80% research, and the rest is academia and teaching. It can be, it contains didactic courses, so it's not might, it contains didactic courses, and it has practice in general. So it can be clinical practice if the type of fellowship program is clinical, or practice in general if it was regulatory or industry or whatever it is. What's the beauty about fellowship programs? Fellowship programs, it's more focused training and it's highly individualized. So you can sit down with your preceptor. It's a 2-year program. So you can sit down in the first year with the preceptor and say, you know what, this is my strength, this is my weaknesses, this is my area of focus, this is what I want to finish in the first year versus what I want to finish in the second year. And based on that, you can tailor your training throughout the 2 years to whatever matches you the best. The number of fellows per consultant or per primary investigator is 1 to 2 maximum. And that's why you get not only to choose a program, you also choose the primary investigator you're going to be working with. And that's why you need to make sure that you are picking the right person that just have the right chemistry with you. So this is what we really mean about the fellowship programs. Fellowship programs, the main ultimate goal of it is to have someone who is highly qualified to perform or to deliver high quality research, but they are not learning research in a classroom setting. They are learning this research and more practice knowledge throughout a daily life. So this is one of the biggest differences between graduate and postgraduate programs. Postgraduate programs like residency and fellowship, you are doing the work, you are working, and while you are doing it, you are learning. So this is the different style of learning. So what do you get involved with during your fellowship training? You get through the how to write a hypothesis and how do you develop it. If you want to design a study, how do you design the study? Protocol development, how to write a grant. So, you know, like when you have a big study, you need to have money that supports you and sponsorship. How can you write grants for that? Study coordinators. If you have a big study, multinational study, can you be a coordinator of that study? So that's how you can be trained off. The appropriate way of doing data collection, analysis, and interpretation. You get to learn technical skills if you have labs or if you have industry, and then how to appropriately write a manuscript and get it published. Usually the fellowship programs is not completely pharmacy. They have multidisciplinary teams, professional practice, and education and research with them. So what are the fellowship programs we have? Again, the only ones in the kingdom currently have is the one in King Saud University. We have the pharmaceutical industry, drug regulation, pharmacotherapy, and pharmaceutical outcomes. And under each one of these, we have different tracks, so different specialties. Let's say, for example, pharmacotherapy, you might have cardiology, infectious diseases, pediatric care, internal medicine. So you get to have different tracks underneath them. In terms of courses, as I mentioned, you have courses that are given to all the different types of the pharmacy fellowships, and these are didactic, research-based courses. And then for each specific program, there are specific courses, and then toward the end, each track might have electives that works best for the best outcomes of these programs. The simple question is there any market needs in Saudi Arabia? The answer is yes. For academia, 100%, it is highly needed because many people, they can be promoted to assistant professor if they have the residency PGY1, residency PGY2, and the fellowship. If they fulfill these 3, they can be promoted as assistant professors. We have regulatory bodies like the Saudi FDA, the high need of such training program focused on research. Industry, the same thing. We have R&Ds coming up in the kingdom, so they will highly need people who are keen and very well-rounded in research. And again, hospital setting and clinical practice, this is always needed throughout the world, not only in Saudi Arabia. The requirements for application and these are my last 2 slides. for the application is to be PharmD graduate, so be a pharmacist. Residency is not mandatory to apply for a fellowship program. You can graduate from the School of Pharmacy and apply for fellowship right away. It's acceptable. You have to have valid registration in the Saudi Commission, and the classic 3 letters of recommendation, CVs, and letter of intent. And where do you apply? The application process is going to be through the King Saud University website. This is the last slide I have. It's basically from the survey we made, and we figured out that the top 10 maybe programs that people were interested in the same order I'm just mentioning now were the Masters in Quality Control and Pharmacy. This one ranked the highest in terms of interest, followed by Masters of Clinical Pharmacy, then PGY1 Residency, then followed by Executive Masters of Science in Regulatory Affairs, followed by PhD in Clinical Pharmacy, Master of Pharmaceutics, and then PhD in Pharmaceutics, Masters of Pharmacology, and then Fellowship in Pharmacotherapy. And the last of the top 10 was Fellowship in Drug Regulation. Again, as you can see, people have different aspects and they have different goals, and each one of them is good as long as it serves your target and your mission and what you really want to get into. So this is quickly was an overview of the 4 different sectors we have for higher education in the College of Pharmacy: the master programs, the PhD programs, the residency programs, and the fellowship programs. And with that, I would like to thank you for this opportunity and for this well-organized meeting. And these are the 2 emails for the Postgraduate Pharmacy Education Center and the Pharmacy Vice Dean for Graduate Sciences and Research. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them right now. If you have questions later on about the application process for either residencies, fellowships, you can communicate with the PGPE. If you have questions about master's or PhD, you can communicate with the Pharm VDGSR at KSU emails. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ahmed, for this remarkable presentation. We're going to go through the questions either by the comments, and you can answer them by the comments through the answer and Q question, or through the comments, or they just go through these emails, or we just go through the panel discussion. Thank you so much, Dr. Ahmed. If there is any questions, we're going to leave it after the next presentation.